Hello and thanks for joining us on The World Now. Let's begin with the earthquake that has left over 5,000 persons dead and thousands wounded after a 7.8 magnitude earthquake hit Turkey and Syria on Monday. As the death toll continues to rise, Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan has announced a 3-month state of emergency across the 10 provinces worst affected by the devastating earthquakes. Mr. Erdogan says the death toll from the earthquake centered in southeastern Turkey is likely to rise. This comes after Turkish Vice President Fuat Oktay says severe weather conditions made it difficult to bring aid to the affected regions for rescue purposes. We have details in this report.
International aid efforts are being stepped up in southern Turkiye and northern Syria following a huge earthquake that has killed over 5,000 people. Rescuers are racing to save people trapped beneath the rubble after thousands of buildings collapsed in both countries. Turkey's Vice President Fuat Oktay claims the weather was more suitable now for air carriers to land in nearby cities to places affected by the earthquake, such as Hatay and Hadiyaman. The initial magnitude 7.8 tremor early on Monday brought down buildings as people slept and was followed by a magnitude 7.6 earthquake hours later amid several aftershocks. In northern Syria, it was gathered that people trapped beneath the rubble are calling out for help, but there is also no one to respond to their calls. Speaking on the incident at the General Assembly event, where member states paid a minute's silence for the victims of the natural disaster, Secretary General Antonio Guterres urged the international community to work together in solidarity to assist all those hit by the disaster.
I want to convey my deep sadness about the devastating earthquakes in Turkey and Syria. I extend my condolences to the families of the victims. The United Nations is mobilizing to support the emergency response, and so let's work together in solidarity to assist all those hit by this disaster, many of whom were already in dire need of humanitarian aid.
The spokesperson for the Secretary General, Stefan Dujarric, added that the earthquake has heavily impacted northwest Syria, where 4.1 million people, most of them women and children, were already relying on humanitarian assistance.
Our humanitarian partners are telling us that this is Turkey's most powerful earthquake recorded since 1939, and that at least 78 aftershocks were reported, followed by a second earthquake of 7.5 magnitude. The earthquake has heavily impacted northwest Syria, where 4.1 million people, most of them women and children, were already relying on humanitarian assistance. 224 buildings were completely destroyed and at least 325 partially damaged in 17 sub-districts. That's according to initial information we're getting from local authorities. Preliminary assessments indicate that in the sub-districts of Harim, Atme, Sarmada, Atareb, and Kafir, Takharim are among the worst hit areas. Just to give you a bit of perspective, we along with our humanitarian partners have been assisting 2.7 million people per month in northwest Syria via cross-border aid deliveries. That's before the earthquake.
WHO's Director General gave an overview of the situation in Turkey and Syria at the World Health Organization's Executive Board meeting on Tuesday.
Numbers do not tell us about the perilous situation that many families now face, having lost everything, forced to sleep outside in the middle of winter. It's now a race against time. Every minute, every hour that passes, the chances of finding survivors alive diminishes. Continued aftershocks, severe winter conditions, damage to roads, power supplies, communications, and other infrastructure continue to hamper access and other search and rescue efforts. National officials in both countries are leading search and rescue operations while anticipating the increased need for trauma care to treat the injured. The initial focus is on saving lives and caring for wounds. We're especially concerned about areas where we do not yet have information. Damage mapping is ongoing to understand where we need to focus our attention.
The World Health Organization has said some 23 million people will be affected by the massive earthquake that has killed thousands.